Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I am starting a reading vlog for a book that is everywhere right now. I'm definitely late to the hype on this book and this author in general. She and her books have been everywhere, and I have stayed away from these books for a number of reasons, which I'll get into. The book that I will be starting today is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Hi, this is me from the future, somebody who's already finished the book. Before starting the book, I barely knew of any of the content in the book, but now that I do, I want to give a trigger warning to this video for domestic violence and abuse. Alright, back to me from before. I think the sequel to this recently just came out. It Starts With Us. So I have actively stayed away from Colleen Hoover for a while. I have heard a lot of controversial stuff about her books. I've heard that she romanticizes domestic abuse and her books are just overall problematic. So for that reason, I've stayed away from them. But they're everywhere. They're insanely popular right now. And I know that just because a book is problematic, that's not gonna deter people, as we've seen with loads of other books and series and authors. I find it even more shocking that her reach is so vast right now, especially with all the controversy surrounding her books, but then again, I've never read them. So it's hard for me to have this firm stance on how I feel about Colleen Hoover and her books, if they are problematic, if they're not problematic, without having read them. You know, I'm not really a big advocate on, having opinions on things that you don't know about, because I think that, educating oneself is necessary. I'm admitting to my ignorance on Colleen Hoover's novels, but I am aware of the controversy surrounding them. I want to read this because so many people love it, and I want to have an opinion. I am going to try my best to go into this with as open of a mind as possible. Obviously, my brain is going to be slightly, preconditioned to go into this and expect romanticization of domestic abuse, right? Because that's what I hear pretty much all of her novels contain. But I'm going to, consciously make an effort to read this with an open mind. I'm not trying to read it to reject it. I genuinely want to form my own opinion. I picked this book in particular because I ran a poll on Twitter saying, what Colleen Hoover book should I read for a reading blog? The options I put were It Ends With Us, Ugly Love, and, comment a different book. It Ends With Us won the poll, so this is the one that I picked. I didn't really read too much. I know there's something about dads. Okay, I don't know where I got shit about dads, because I just read the back of this and I don't see dad anywhere. This vlog will not be spoiler free. I will be going in depth into this book and my thoughts and everything, so if you haven't read it and you would like to read it, probably don't watch this. However, you probably have read this because everyone and their dog has read this by now, so I'm just late to the party, like always, with popular books. I just want to be in the loop, okay? I just want to know what's up. I want to know what's up with Miss Hoover. All I do know is that she writes romance novels, and this is a romance novel. I like romance, so, we'll see. Again, trying to go in it with an open mind. I'm also excited to get, kind of an escape, a nice little reprieve from my school reading that I've been doing. This will definitely be a change, and I'm ready for it. So yeah, I'm gonna go get started on this, and I will talk to y'all later when I have some thoughts to share. Okay, so I am on page 67 of It Ends With Us. So we have Lily, our main character, and then we have Ryle, the main love interest right now, which, by the way, I absolutely hate that name. Ryle. That's like Ryan and Kyle. Why does that exist? There also there is a past love interest. His name is what? Aspen or something? No, that's The Selection. That's wrong book. Atlas. His name is Atlas. I guess is a previous love interest when Lily was in high school. Lily is now, I believe, almost 30. No. She's 23. She's early 20s. Ryle is almost 30. There you go. So there's been some stuff revealed of Lily's home life growing up. Her father was very abusive, and he just passed away. So she is kind of, I don't want to say mourning the loss of her father, because she's dealing with a sense of relief that she's feeling with her father being out of her life, and kind of understanding and coming to terms with that feeling of not necessarily grief or mourning for a lost person in someone's life like most people would naturally feel, but because he was abusive and made her life worse, she's relieved. There hasn't been much else of the home life that's been revealed yet. I mean, other than the fact that we know that her father at some point did something to Atlas, this love interest that she had in high school. So Atlas was homeless, was, I'm assuming, kicked out of his house by his parents. We don't know the whole story yet, or I don't, because I'm the one reading it. Seemingly he was kicked out of his home by his parents, and he is living in a vacant home in the neighborhood that's like across from Lily's house or something. And she recognizes that he goes to her school and rides the same bus. They go to the same bus stop and everything. So she helps him out after school, lets him shower, gives him food, gives him clothes, and then they start like watching the Ellen show together. Which, okay, look, we're told all of this information from like previous like diary entries that Lily has made. They're diary entries, but she writes them in the form of letters to Ellen DeGeneres. Why the fuck? Like, I kind of actually hate that, because like Lily was kind of like embarrassed of the like thought of like having a diary or like writing a diary entry, so she thought it would be like less embarrassing or whatever to like write it as if she was like telling it to somebody, but like it was to fucking Ellen. I feel like there are so many other things that Colleen Hoover could have done to make a character who is embarrassed to write a diary still write a diary and not make it in the form of letters to Ellen DeGeneres. Like, I just feel like there are so many other things that she could have done. But it's fine. That's what we have, and that's what we're working with. So Alice goes to her house, like, every day after school, and they watch Ellen DeGeneres together. Oh, and Lily recently quit her job and is opening a floral shop, where some random woman named Alyssa randomly barged into her, new place that she's going to be renovating to make a floral shop and said, "Oh, I want a job, can I help you?" Like, when would that ever happen, first of all? That's like a very Wattpad-y, like, convenient situation that like would never ever happen in real life. But whatever, she just pops in, she's like, "Whoa, I heard you had a help wanted sign." She's like, "No, I didn't." And she's like, "Can I have a job anyway?" Like, who the fuck would do that? So Lily's like, "Yeah, I don't know you at all, but please come in here and be my first employee." Seems fake, but okay. And then Lily so conveniently fucking falls and sprains her ankle. Another Wattpad-y moment. And then Alyssa says, "Oh my god, let me call someone." And calls her husband and her brother. And they come to the floral shop. And they go and meet them to take care of Lily. And Alyssa's brother is none other than Mr. fucking Ryle. Literally, like, what in the fucking Wattpad? Like, you know what I mean? Moments like that, you just have to, like, roll your eyes and move on. But it's whatever, you know? Like, I'm not gonna be like, this book is shit. I'm not even 100 pages in. So I don't have too many thoughts yet. But a lot of Goodreads reviews say that it's, like, really heavy. And it's really, like, hard shit to digest. So I don't really know what to expect. Those are my thoughts so far. So yeah, I'm going to continue reading and I will check in later. Good morning. I am on chapter 9. That is page 119. I don't want to say a lot has happened, because really, like, not a lot has happened, but some things have happened, I guess. Ryle is fucking weird. He's definitely super scary. Definitely got issues. I don't want to, like, get, like, too much into details, because, like, that will just take up so much time, but he's got problems, and if he was real, well, there are lots of men in the world like Ryle, but you don't want to be around him. Like, his sister, Alyssa, keeps saying that, like, he's an asshole, and it's because he is. It seems to be, like, a pattern of abuse, where that's what she's experienced in her childhood. Lily, the main character, her father's abusive, and now in adulthood, she's attracted to a man who potentially is also abusive. At least that's what it seems like. The scene that particularly stood out to me, other than all the other shit that he's doing, like flirting with her and then saying that he wants nothing to do with her, and like toying with her and like making her feel like shit. Yeah, that's all fucked up. But like a scene that particularly stuck out to me that I was like, wow, what a crazy motherfucker is the morning after Alyssa's birthday party that Lily attends. She stays the night with Ryle. And then she gets up and then she's talking to Alyssa in the kitchen, and Alyssa's like, I don't think you should be with my brother. And then she is about to basically tell her, like warn her from going out with her brother. And then Ryle comes in, he's like, no, like proceed. Don't just stop because I'm in here. Like I want to hear what you have to say. And then Alyssa continues because she's like, I don't give a fuck. And she's like, yeah, he's an asshole. Like you can do better. Stay away from him. And he pours himself a cup of coffee while she's saying this. And Alyssa's like leaning against the sink or whatever in the kitchen while they're talking. And then he goes over to the sink and just dumps his entire cup of coffee out in the sink. Yeah, I read that scene and I was like, okay, Mr. Fucker, like, what the fuck? And then there was also more fucking Ellen letter diary entries. I can't with the Ellen DeGeneres shit. There were more diary entries, so there was more insight into Atlas, the teenage love interest. Yeah, like their relationship is kind of growing. Not like their relationship, but like their friendship is growing. And Lily is, you know, her past self is writing about she's starting to like him, kind of, and she's learning more about him, and she feels sorry for him in a situation. You know, I don't fucking like Ryle. I don't think you're supposed to like Ryle. At least I am assuming so, at least right now. He's fucking weird. How are you gonna get on your knees and beg somebody to have sex with you after they've said no multiple times? Gross. If I met a fucking guy that was like doing all the shit that Ryle does, and then I went to his house and I saw a photo of myself on his wall, I would run. I would literally run. I would probably never speak to any of those people again. Yeah, that's all that's really happened. According to the back, Atlas apparently reappears in Lily's life. It says, when Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily has built with Ryle is threatened. Maybe that's a good thing, because Ryle's fucking nuts. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, for sure. I don't really have a lot of opinions on the book so far, as much as I do on just what's happening in the book. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'll probably read till about the halfway mark, and then I will check in later. Y'all, Atlas is gonna kill Ryle. I'm calling it now. Quick side note, if I look absolutely exhausted, it's because I am. I was up last night until like 1 in the morning catching up on our reading for class, and I've been at school all day long, and then I taught a yoga class, and now I'm home and it's like almost 10 p.m. So I'm very tired. But I did make it to halfway through the book. I'm now on chapter 15. Shit has gone down. So Lily went out to eat with her mother. Ryle met her mom, which is apparently very new for him. And a waiter at the restaurant was Atlas. And we've learned from more Ellen DeGeneres diary entries that she and Atlas did start dating, like officially. Atlas eventually moved to Boston to live with his uncle. So I don't know if they had seen each other since then. We didn't get the last diary entry because Lily decided that she was done reading them. We'll learn eventually, but as of right now, that's all we know. And so she ran into him at the restaurant. He's apparently has a girlfriend, or he's married or whatever, has been for a year, and he made a comment and he was like, if only we could have met a year ago. Like, okay, dude, sucks for your girlfriend, but wow. Ryle and Lily are going strong, okay? They're together, Ryle is into her, he's doing the whole boyfriend thing, and then, shockingly, not shocking at all, he becomes not so nice, which was to be expected. I saw that coming. That moment where he poured the coffee down the sink like that, immediately I was like, he's fucked up. One thing that I think this book so far that has done particularly well, in my opinion, the scene where Ryle pushes her for the first time, or so far the only time, as far as I've read so far. They're in the kitchen, they're drinking, having a good time, she's making dinner, whatever, and then Ryle fucking stupidly goes to take the casserole out of the oven without fucking oven mitts or a pot holder or anything. Who does that, first of all? Who just reaches in with their fucking bare hands and takes a dish out of the oven? I don't know. But he did it. Lo and fucking behold, it's burning hot and he drops it out of his hands. Who would have thought that would happen? It shatters all over the ground and they're drinking, okay? They're drinking. He drops the food all over the fucking floor and Lily starts laughing. I used to laugh when I was nervous or felt like awkward or embarrassed. I used to just laugh because that was like my like defense mechanism, I guess. I was like, well, if I'm laughing, then nobody else can laugh at me because they're laughing with me at that point because I'm laughing. Or if I was nervous, I would just like start fucking laughing. I don't know why. And jumping ahead a little bit here, having a man who's bigger than you, has a louder voice than you, whatever, yelling at you is scary. I'm someone who's very sensitive to loud noises. Yelling, especially. If I'm going into somewhere and I'm expecting a loud sound, like a concert or something, that's one thing. But like if I'm just minding my own business and there's loud noises, I don't like it. I'm sensitive to it and it like I have a physical response to it, you know? Like I fucking hate it. Having a man yell at you, it's kind of a lot, okay? Being in a situation where you're nervously laughing at something that's kind of at the expense of a man, and then that man yells at you, is a very uncomfortable / scary situation to be in. And I've been in that situation. And so when I read that scene and he broke the shit and she started laughing, I immediately was like scared for her. Like I immediately was like, something's about to happen. He's gonna get pissed, he's gonna yell at her, and he's probably gonna hit her because that's where the story is going because of her father. That's one thing that I thought the book did well. It's more of one of those situations where it's like a very, very specific set of like circumstances that leads people to act in certain ways and then they respond in certain ways, but they're all very familiar situations to people that have experienced things like this. If that makes sense. So then afterwards, he's like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't know why I did that, like, trying to make it up to her, and then they have sex. She ends up forgiving him. Oh, one thing that was fucking weird. So after he pushes her, she, I believe, pushes him back. So she pushes him away from her, and he falls backwards and cuts his hand on the glass of the dish that shattered all over the floor. So he's like bleeding and shit, whatever. And then they go to have sex. Or they go to the bedroom and he's trying to apologize to her and then it turns into sex, I guess. Afterwards, when she goes to the bathroom to like, I don't know, fucking clean up or whatever, she's covered in blood. Like she's covered in his blood from his hand. And she didn't know that. Like we already knew. We already knew that fucking Ryan Kyle was crazy, okay? How are you actively having sex with somebody, covering your blood all over them, and just like moving on with your life? Like just how are you fucking doing that? Like how are you like, yeah, this is lit. Like she is covered in my blood. Like, okay, not trying to like, I don't know, kink shame or whatever. But I don't think that's what's going on in this book right now, so, like, you would have thought that he would have been like, oh my god, I'm literally getting blood all over you. He didn't even say anything afterward. I don't even think he said that to her. He wasn't like, hey, you're literally covered in my blood, you might want to go to the bathroom and clean up. No. At this point, I'm speculating how this is gonna end. I'm really curious about, like, where this is going, especially because there's a sequel. Don't know if I'll be reading that. I mean, it depends on how it ends, and it depends how much I like it. Obviously. But me reading a sequel is rare. Just to be honest. Like, the book has to be, like, good. Like, real good. 4 stars or more for me to read a sequel, or else it's not happening. We'll see. Like I said at the beginning of this, Alice is gonna kill him. But he can't kill him because there's a sequel. And I know the sequel isn't just her and Alice. I am looking forward to reading more and seeing where this goes. I'm going to read more of this tonight. I'm going to try and get as far as I can in it. I highly, highly doubt I will finish it because that's being a little ambitious. I'm going to read some more of this tonight and then I will check in tomorrow. I'm on page 271. A lot has happened and I don't even know what at this point, so we're just going to cover the big things. Lily and Ryle are married. I don't know why that needed to happen, but it did, and I hate it. I just think it was, like, so ridiculous. Like, they barely knew each other. Like, they knew each other, but, like, not to, like, get married. Like, you know what I mean? I don't even remember why. Like, they were doing something about her being pregnant. I literally have no idea. And then all of a sudden, Ryle and Lily are getting married. They literally left that night to go to Vegas and, like, get married. They were married or they weren't married. I don't know. Ryle pushed Lily, like, down a flight of stairs. Then Ryle comes out and confesses to Lily that he killed his older brother when they were children, and now because of that, he has anger problems, and he gets really mad, and he, like, blacks out and doesn't even know what he's doing. Okay. They have a conversation. They're like, okay, if we get into a fight, if we get mad, like, we need to just be able to stop, walk away, and then come back at a later time, more calm. Great. That sounds perfectly healthy. So they have another fight, like, later on, and they do that. You know, Ryle's like, I'm really fucking mad right now. It's about him, like, moving. Like, he was offered a position at the Mayo Clinic, and he, you know, wants to move out of Boston to get that position. That's fine. Lily doesn't want to move. So they're pissed, they're fighting. So they're fighting, and Ryle's like, I'm really upset right now. I'm gonna have to walk away. And he leaves for a couple hours, and he comes back, and he's, like, totally calm, and they come to a resolution, and they're good. Great. Perfectly healthy execution of their plans. I almost said fasting forward. Fast forwarding, Alyssa has her baby, and they're at the hospital, and Lily and Ryle are like, let's have a baby. Okay, whatever. And then Ryle goes home, and Lily's planning on meeting him there later on. She gets home, Ryle is, like, being really weirdly sexual with her, but, like, very predatorial. But still sexual. He's asking her where she got her magnet, which is a magnet that Atlas gave her on her 16th birthday, whatever. Basically, he ties the pieces together. He, like, reads a newspaper article about her floral shop. He reads her fucking Ellen DeGeneres letters, and he's, like, freaking out. He's like, why the fuck is Atlas, like, all over our lives? Like, why is he on the magnet on her fridge? Why is he in a journal in her box? Like, why is he everywhere? I'm gonna show you, you know, that I love you more than he ever did. And then, of course, you know, he hurts her again. And then she wakes up and he's asleep. And then she quietly, like, gets out of the bed. And she's considering the list of people that she has to call for help. So she decides not to call Alyssa because she just had a baby and they literally named their baby after Ryle. Why they would do that, I don't know. But she's like, I can't do that to them. She doesn't want to call her mother because her mother is going to be absolutely depressed hearing this news. So she doesn't want to do that to her mom. And then she decides to call Atlas. I get it. But, like, I'm scared. Like, the entire reason why Ryle is, like, angry and doing what he's doing is because of Atlas. Not that it's justified. It's absolutely 100% not justified whatsoever. But now Lily calls Atlas for help. I'm scared. So Atlas shows up, she leaves with him, and that's where I'm at now. Shit has gone down. I'm nervous about how it's gonna end. I keep thinking that, like, someone's gonna die, but, like, there's a sequel, so I don't think anybody can die yet. But I think someone's gonna die. Like, in general. Whether it's at the end of the sequel or at the end of this one, I think someone's gonna die. I'm really curious, though. Like, I wonder if Atlas, like, lied about his girlfriend. Does he actually have a girlfriend? In the newspaper article about, like, the, like, 10, like, businesses in Boston or whatever, like 10 best businesses in Boston. Alice's restaurant is on there. And the interview with him in the newspaper, he's talking about how he named it after Lily. He doesn't say Lily's name, but he's like, I named my restaurant Bibs. It stands for Best in Boston. It's symbolic of a gift I gave a girl who's very special to me, you know, something like that. If I was dating someone and they had this newspaper interview and it was just like that, I'd be like, I'm sorry, what's up? I'm sorry, what girl? So yeah, seems fishy. I'm doubting whether Atlas is actually in a relationship or not. I mean, he may be, and, you know, it might be that she knows who Lily is, and it's just like, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. I am ready to finish this book. I'm very close to the end, as you can see, my bookmark. So I'll probably finish this tonight. If not tonight, I'll finish it tomorrow, but I'll probably finish it tonight. So I'm gonna finish the book, and then I will check in with my final thoughts. Hi, so I have finished It Ends With Us. I have lots of thoughts. I took notes because I have so many thoughts. Firstly, I want to go into my rating, just get that out of the way, and then go into how I felt about the ending and the overall book. So in the end, I gave it 3.75 stars. I considered giving it 4 stars, but I initially thought to give it 3 stars, but then I thought that there were aspects about this book that I appreciated more than just 3 stars, but not 4. So I gave it 3.75. Overall, I thought the book was okay. In my opinion, at least this one, this is the only Colleen Hoover book that I have read thus far. In my opinion, I don't think that this book romanticized or glorified domestic abuse. I think that it illustrated like a pretty real like image of what domestic violence looks like and how complicated that relationship is. Even the book states it's not as simple as somebody leaving a situation because there's love involved. And when you love somebody, it makes it incredibly difficult to just walk away from something, especially if you know that they have a troubled past or they're dealing with trauma, like Ryle is. He's dealing with his own trauma, and consequently, he has these issues. Does that make his abuse forgivable? Absolutely not. And that is what's so difficult to grapple in a situation like this. It's not an easy one, and I appreciated that the book went into that, like, in detail. And even whenever Lily was talking to her mother and she was explaining how every single time her mother forgave her father for the abuse, she became less likely to walk away in the future because she continued to expand her limit for him because she loved him. And she also had a daughter, so that complicates things. And it says that in the book as well. Overall, like I said, I liked the book. I think it was fine. And I appreciated how it even pointed out how in a lot of abusive relationships, usually people's thoughts are like, why didn't the wife or the girlfriend or whoever leave the abuser? Why didn't the victim get themselves out of the situation? Not immediate blame for the abuser for abusing. And I think that's true. I think a lot of times people tend to target the blame on the victim for not leaving as if it's easy to leave. All of that being said, I think that there were elements of the novel that felt extremely flat for me. And the first part being the characters. I honestly didn't really care about any of the characters. They were all very like surface level characters for me. I didn't think that any of them became deeper, if that makes sense. I don't feel like any of them had any personality. Like, they all had hobbies and things that they enjoyed, but I didn't feel as a reader that that was like accurately like conveyed through their personality. Like, I just felt like this is Lily, she likes plants and flowers and she has a floral shop and she's our main character. And then Ryle, it's like, okay, he's a neurosurgeon and he has issues and he's an abuser. Like, okay, that's all we're working with. Especially Ryle. I didn't feel like he had like any personality. Alyssa, most of all, had like the least amount of personality out of all the characters. I don't even think she had like hobbies. It just stated that she was bored and she wanted to have a baby, and then she did. So, okay. She was just there as Lily's friend, and I get it, but I still think that she could have had a personality. I think that my feelings are partly due to the fact that there were so many like long time jumps in the novel, and they were like kind of vague. Like, we would jump like 5 months in the future, and I like didn't even realize we were 5 months in the future until like some shit said that like 5 pages later. I think that the timeline of the story was a little strange. Obviously, in real life, these people would have gotten to know each other and they would have grown as people, and we would have seen their personalities really come to life, and we would have seen their hobbies and what they do in their free time and whatever else. But because all of that time was like completely cut out from the book, and I feel like the characterization within the story like kind of lacked. So I don't know, there was just something that felt like very, very flat for me about the characters, and that is why I couldn't give it 4 stars. I do want to touch on the ending, because that is something that personally didn't sit well for me, and I was like, okay, Lily has her baby, and she tells Ryle, I want a divorce, literally right after she delivers her baby. They're like holding her and shit, and Ryle is hoping that Lily will take him back, and she just goes, I want a divorce. And he's like, no, like, please don't do this, please give me another chance. And she starts crying, and she's like, what would you do if the man our daughter loves hits her? Like, you know, and starts like going through like different kinds of abuse that could be inflicted upon their child from another man. And he starts crying, and he's like, I would beg her to leave him, like, I wouldn't want her around him, of course. And then he sadly agrees, basically, that that's what's best for their family, is for them not to be together. Quick side note, I was wondering throughout the entire book why it was titled this, and then I read that last line, and I just went, sad, but sweet, but sad. So, in the epilogue, we find out that Lily is bringing their daughter to Ryle because it's his day to have her. I know that she mentioned, like, in the other chapter, with my experience with my father, I know that a parent can be abusive to their spouse and not their children. So she's attributing that to Ryle, but she also, like, constantly says throughout the novel, I'm not my mother and Ryle is not my father. I'm pretty sure she even says that, like, after she comes to terms with the fact that she's being abused. They're still not their parents. And I don't think it's fair for her to immediately assume that just because Ryle already shows so much love for his baby, that he wouldn't do something to her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's fair. That kind of caught me off guard, and I felt like in that moment, his actions were being slightly excused. Because the epilogue was so happy. Like, she brought him her baby, and he was, like, so excited to have her, and he was, like, waving her arms, saying bye, and it was cute. It was sweet. But then you remember who he is and what he's done, and you're like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Tell me your thoughts. Another thing that I do want to mention, this is not a romance novel. At the beginning of this entire video, I said this was a romance novel because I didn't know the content of the book, and it is promoted as a romance novel. However, I don't think that it should be because in my opinion, it's not a romance novel. It's a novel about love and heartbreak and abuse. That's what it is. 95% of this book is the romance between Lily and Ryle. That's not romance. That's a really hard, complicated, tragic situation. Romance is like the fucking hating game. Enemies to lovers, sweet, like they end up together and they're all happy and everyone's having a good time. That's romance. I think it's wrong to label something like this as romance because that in itself makes it sound like what Lily and Ryle have is romance. I think they love each other. I think romance implies something else. You know, it implies something healthy. I did find out that the second book is about Lily and Atlas. Earlier in this vlog, I did say there's no way the second book can just be Lily and Atlas. Turns out I was wrong. It takes place right after the epilogue ends. So, I mean, Ryle is sure to be in the book, but I don't know, and I don't think I'll be reading it because I don't really care about Lily and Atlas that much. Like I said, I didn't really care about any of these characters to the point where I would want to read the sequel. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my thoughts on this book. Again, just to close it all off, I don't think that this book really romanticized domestic abuse. I think that it was honestly like an accurate portrayal of how complicated the situation is. However, that epilogue situation with Ryle and the baby, and Lily bringing the baby to Ryle, and it was all happy and fun and whatever, that didn't sit well with me. So it was odd. As far as the book in general and just like how much I liked it goes, it was alright. There were moments throughout the book that I was like, oh shit, like this is heavy, this is getting into my heart right now. But there were just aspects of the book that did fall flat for me. Like I said, I don't think that I will be reading the sequel, and I don't know that I will be reading any more Colleen Hoover. But if somebody convinces me enough to read another Colleen Hoover book, I might just read it. Not completely writing her off in the future, but not a priority right now, I don't think. But yeah, that concludes this reading vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!